Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson. We're going to start a new series on the disciplines of competitive life. And I know, Adam, this risks getting a little bit esoteric or into the abstract and away from the hard science people know us for. But in this very first episode, that's what I want to talk about. Physiology is hard science, and there is an art to how we apply it. There is nuance in how we interpret it. But what's happening under the skin cellularly, from hypertrophy to strength to how we peak, as we know, this is what our whole podcast is based on. It is hard science. And I think if you're going to look at your entire career as this trajectory that you're going to plan and you want to keep moving up and progressing, you have to, first of all, latch on to as much knowledge as you can. And I know how cliche it is to talk about bro science and getting away from that stuff. But to this day, I have experienced competitors who find themselves lured away side to side, so always looking for that little extra edge. And I'm interested, after all these years for you competing and you helping clients, is it easier or more difficult to keep people really anchored into this is what's happening in research? These are what the best minds are showing us. This is what research says. Just interested in how you view that now after all this time.
Yeah. Man, I think it's harder now because now everyone's getting basically a direct message through Instagram. And, all it takes is a coach to post something that's not true or claim that they're getting insane results from X, Y, and Z. And really behind scenes, that's not really what's happening. So I see that a lot. I see that a whole lot where clients get swayed just by what they think the next thing to make them successful is going to be. And sometimes it's one of those things we would be willing to try and it just doesn't make any difference. But the fact that they don't ask you about it, they just decide to part ways and go. It's kind of funny because a lot of times they end up coming back, though, because they end up, that ended up being a hunk of BS and they immediately lose trust with that person. And then they end up back because they're like, that wasn't the bee's knees or what they claimed it to be.
It really kind of surprised me you said that. And I wasn't sure which direction I would even go, but you just convinced me because I think you're exactly right. I mean, after all this time, I give so much credit to the people in our industry who are literally in university labs doing research, creating some great studies and analysis. And yet on the ground with clients, it's like, wow, so many people still get, pulled into some of these things because I think the competitive need is there, as it always has been. But there are so many more people competing now than 10, 15, 20 years ago, which is another thing that has shocked me, that bikini and physique on the men's side have just really, pulled so many more people in, and perhaps having maybe a broader base of competitors from all walks of life almost creates a new facade of that. Some of the things that we thought were put to rest 20 years ago, that they keep resurging through these new populations. And I'm really kind of struggling to deal with that because I want to move on and talk about other things. And we keep having to come back and say, no, here's what physiology is like. Here's what science says. Here's what's realistic. And I'll give you one example. A client just recently, said, man, I want to make great gains in the off season, of course. And the way to do that is to gain 30, 40, 50 pounds of body fat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, look at what we've already talked about and what we've already done. But what do you think is a good solution to just continuing to fight this fight? Because it almost seems endless.
I like clients that challenge me, obviously. So I think the biggest thing is just you're paying for a service, don't be afraid to ask for a different haircut, and we could tell you why that haircut might look good for you and why it may not. I think at the end of the day, it's just natural to be competitive and want to win. People have been corking their bats in baseball since we can remember, and the key is just not getting caught. And I guess that's the thing with our sport, aside from anabolics, we haven't really found that one thing that lets us cork our bats aside from that. But at the end of the day, I think one big point I want to drive home is I get this question a lot. I'm not sure if you've seen my male, Hollywood Hilson. We've taken a lot of time to get him healthy. He's a user of anabolics. He's actually using way less with me than he was with his other coach. And we're creating synergy with the compounds now. But everyone asks me, well, like, what are you doing with him? And they want to do the exact thing. And I can guarantee the people they're asking me how to look like him just won't, because genetically he's a freak. And that's really the true secret, is getting the right mom and dad together to create such a great genetic profile. And I'm not saying that to be negative, but at the same time, we have to have realistic expectations. Look for people with similar body types as you, as maybe people are posting when they were younger, and you can compare when you were around that age. And I think that's how you can really attach to have like kind of a favorite competitor, or a favorite competitor that maybe looks like you or has your structure. And I think that's what people need to look more into versus, pulling someone on Instagram that, is a wellness competitor, and you're like, I want to look like that, but you've got stick legs, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, it's great that you just started talking about that long arc of your career. That's what we're going to talk about in episode 2. But just to echo your final point, which is, when you're trying to do this for your entire career, you want to grow, you want to progress, you want to improve, stick to the voices that are showing you the true science. And when something looks too good to be true, look a little bit deeper. I don't want to say that I know everything there is to know about every little conspiracy theory and nuance out there, but just make sure you're trusting the right voices and even compare them. But let's wrap this up for episode 1. We're going to head into episode 2, where we talk about how to really look forward to and strategize your entire career. So we'll see you next time in Contest Prep University.